My last ever video from this place. Don't know how I feel about that. 10 things that I've learned whilst at university. Independence. There was a point in my life where I would never go shopping by myself because I needed somebody there. I couldn't do things by myself. I mean, I could, but I didn't feel comfortable doing things by myself. But now it's like, I'm gonna do it alone. I don't care. When I go back home and having to tell people where you're going and having to communicate, really, is long. If you go to university and you move out, the transition moving back in, I can tell you from now, I even know because I had to move back in every holiday. So every time it was like Easter, I move back in and then come back, and then it's hard to transition. It's hard to communicate because you're locked in a room pretty much by yourself unless you're social, unlike me, and you go out and hang out with people and you have friends. Experimenting with cooking. Before I came here, I could barely cook. My mum would tell me to cook something and it would probably just be pasta, you know. She told me how to cook rice and chuzi, which is basically just stew. Rice and stew before I left, so you know I could survive. But lately I have not been having any. Last time I had like stew was, I don't know when the last time I had stew was. Just learning how to put things in your cupboard into a dish. Time management. That is the core for uni, you know. You have to be able to manage your time through, if you have different deadlines to have to manage, if you have a relationship to uphold, if you have the gym life to be going, if you have, I don't know, whatever commitments, a job, if you have societies, if you're on a committee of a society, if you, like, university, you'll find out that there's a lot more to uni than just going to lectures and doing the work. Priorities, how to prioritize. At certain times, certain things will have to be more of a priority to you. If you focus too much on one thing, then you could fall behind another thing. It's kind of like time management, but it can be in different forms. Like, you have to learn to put yourself first in certain situations. In most situations, put yourself first. Just prioritize in general, whatever it may be, whatever your circumstances are. Learn what is more important at that certain time. A grade does not define you, especially if you're doing creative subjects. The way these people grade us is so subjective. Like, it could be one person's thing they like can be something that somebody else doesn't like. Like, it's a hard thing. It really is. And you have to learn that if you get a bad grade or something that you don't class as what you usually would think to yourself, you know, this is good. If you're used to getting high marks and then you start getting lower marks and you just think you want to be depressed, don't let it define you. Don't let a degree define you, because there's many people in the world who didn't even go to university or dropped out of university and are further in their careers or very successful in what they want to do and what they are doing in their life, and it depends on how you define success. But to me, success isn't about grades. And it took me, university taught me that, to be honest. But you know, you define you, I define me. You learn to stick to your convictions more. I don't drink. And I've never drank. So at school, it wasn't much of an issue because, you know, we were young. People didn't really drink that much. People drank, but it wasn't like a regular thing, right? But here, nearly everyone drinks. So me going out somewhere or just being in the flat and people were like, oh, come to a drink, we're having a drink, we're having all this stuff. And I'm just like, I don't drink. People respect you for the things that you are sure about and what you're assertive about and what you, like, what your beliefs are. You just learn to not follow the crowd more. That's one thing about the difference between university and why I suggest people go to university, because of the whole independence things, and you learn to be your own self and follow yourself and not the crowd, and become a butterfly and fly and be yourself and be unique. Clubbing is not for me. The clubs just don't appeal to me, especially because the music is crap and the people are gross and it stinks like alcohol and people are drunk and they're pouring their drink all over you and your hair, and it's just cramped and it's just uncomfortable. The expiry dates on food, they don't count. If you see mold on the bread, you just pick it off. That's one thing I learned in university. If the bread loaf says it expires on the 15th of July, you'll be still eating it on the 20th, the 30th of July, it doesn't matter, because it looks good, I can still eat it, I'm not spending more money, it's all gravy. I learned that I don't like a lot of people. Types of people get on my nerves, especially living in halls, and that's in my first year. I mean, I'm living in halls now, but in my first year, it was like 500 of us in the corridor full of 20-something girls sharing the toilets, there wasn't even a kitchen, it was just a pantry because we couldn't cook in there. But so many of them got on my nerves. People on my course get on my nerves. Just walking down the bloody street get on my nerves. Maybe that's a problem with me, but a lot of people annoy the heck out of me. Your room at home will no longer be your room. It will turn into a storage room. It will become a room with everyone's washing up clothes, washed clothes on there, ironing board in there, just junk that they can just lock up in there and keep there, and when you get back you have to remove it all and be like, guys, this is my room, what are you doing? And to add on to that, you learn that when you get back to that room, you need to change it up completely. When you finish university, your life has changed. You move back home and you'll be like, oh my god, my room has been a time capsule for 3 years. I am not the same person. I have to take this bed out, put wallpaper here, change this around, do all this stuff. And I'm not the only one. The amount of people I know that have started changing up their rooms is crazy, because you realise that you are not the same person you were when you first started university, when you left for uni 3 years ago.